couple of months ago, Toronto was introduced to ska music by the Specials and Madness, two groups involved in England's two-tone label. Well, the third band involved with that label, The Selector, was in town recently performing at the Palais Royal.
The music of The Selector seems to have a lot more reggae influence in it than the other bands that were on the two-tone label, Madness and the Specials.
I would say basically, I mean, some of the people that are in the band, 4 of the members, were in a reggae group, and that mixed with other influences of rock and my style of singing, Gappa's style of singing, makes the band what it is. I wouldn't say it was heavily reggae influenced. It's more ska influenced than anything, because that's up-tempo, whereas reggae is sort of, you know, a slower beat.
I understand that you're pretty turned on by Billie Holiday and some of the blues singers of the 20s and 30s?
No, just Billie Holiday, really, and Janis Joplin, and Mick Jagger.
Can you edit that out? Why Mick Jagger?
I just think the Stones are an incredibly good band. I mean, they were punks when it would have been totally unfashionable to have been punks, as it were, you know? And they really had something to say, and what they had to say when they were doing it, say, 15 years ago, stands up today far more than a lot of other people's music, you know?
Something about punks, you and people in ska music and people in the punk scene seem to be saying almost the same sort of thing about social attitude, only it's different.
I think the main reason, I mean, the punks came along and they had this really militant attitude, and they showed that you could get up, you could form a band, and you could thrash it out, you know, and that was it. And people came along to the gigs, and people had a good time for a couple of years. And I think all we've done is taken it back into a more musical form, sort of, you know, concentrated more on the actual melody of things, thought a bit more about what we're saying, not just the angry sort of, you know, militancy of it, but also, you know, the underlying sort of social pressures that there are. And so we're formulated in that way. And also, I mean, our music isn't for sort of banging your head against a wall, you know. It's for actually thinking about what's going on around you, and hopefully doing something about it.
I've also found a difference in the fact that the punks seem to say, this is like this, and let's all get depressed about it. But people in ska music seem to be saying something like, hey, this is like it is, and, you know, you can't change it, but let's feel good about it anyways.
No. You can change it. But, I mean, while you're changing it, It's pointless being depressed about it because you're never going to get it together to do that, are you? You're just going to sit there taking your Valium tablets from the doctor all day.
It's like you don't have to kill yourself changing it. You don't have to chain yourself up outside.
God, you're really into killing today, aren't you?
Maybe it was the journey. But the thing is, one thing I think we better point out, like here and in the US at the moment, you've got a punk scene happening probably at the same time as these ska bands are coming over. I mean, in Britain, the punks came before the two-tone bands and the kind of thing we're doing. So, I mean, it kind of evolved. A lot of the ways it evolved out of that punk era, and it's taken a lot of the things, a lot of the social attitudes of that along with it.
Two-tone music has been put into such a neat little package, buying just the right button, the right record, like a fad. Do you feel that at some point people will discard it like a fad?
I think people are going to get bored with it, the same as people get bored with anything that the media continually thrusts at them. I mean, this actual package, I mean, has been brought about by everybody talking about it in terms of ska revival, you know, you have to wear this, you have to do this, or whatever, and thus trying to make it into a whole trendy scene, which, when we first started out, it just wasn't. I mean, kids went out and they bought second-hand clothes. We did all our performances in second-hand clothes, and there was a whole identity thing about it, you know. But now you walk down Oxford Street in London, and I was going to swear, every shop along that street, you know, has black and white clothes in it, and they're all shoddily made, cheaply made, and all the rest of it. I mean, it's just a big cash in on it, you know, big profit-making sort of business that's come out of it. All the bands who are on the two-tone label, I feel, we're only going to be as good as, say, you know, what our next album is, or you know, our next single is. We're only as good as the music that we make. And I mean, you can have all the two-tone thing, you can have all the trendies walking down the street with their pork pie hats on, or whatever, you know, and that's not going to make a scrap of difference. And I think our music is good enough to be able to sustain, you know, that kind of thing.